Thanks everybody for joining the React 26.2 class orientation. We're excited to have you in class. Your class name is React 26.2. This year starts a lot of exciting changes in our program. Sorry, excuse me. Is my mic working okay? I saw somebody mentioning. Okay, all right. So I think people are hearing. All right, wonderful. Okay, sorry. I just wanted to be sure all of that was working well. Okay, lots of exciting changes in the program. Among that is class naming convention. If you've been in our classes previously, we used to use particular names. But this year, to keep things a little bit more simple, then we've got the course, followed by the two-digit year abbreviation, and then followed by the quarter that the class happens during, because we're moving to a quarterly system. So classes from January to March are quarter one, from April to June or quarter two, July to September, yeah, July to September or quarter three, and then October to the end or quarter four. So since it will be starting April 1st, the second quarter, then you are React 26 for 2026.2 for quarter two. The class you'll be taking after this class will be the Node 26.3 class. The second change to our program that I wanted to highlight is registration. So some of you are new, and this won't be new or different information to you all, but to anybody returning from a previous class with us, instead of waiting until the end of class to have you all register, since we have these tight 2-week gaps between quarters, is we'll have you register ahead of time during the month of May. Details on that are going to be in your class resource information sections, as well as we'll be mentioning it and bringing it up as the time gets closer so that you're well aware of any kind of deadlines and due dates and all of that kind of stuff. All right, let's go ahead and see where we're at. You've already completed registration in order to be on the call tonight. So next is our orientation. The thing that's going to happen after orientation, March 25th to the 31st, is called week 0. During week 0, it's sort of like a soft launch to the class. You don't have any coding assignment that you do. It's just a week for you to be able to start to get the lay of the land, understand where your tools are, have some time to play with them and practice with them to make sure you know where to find everything. And then we do have a little mini assignment that just checks to make sure you know, how do I find my mentor list? How do I know who my section leader is? All of those kinds of details. So no coding work that week, but there will be an assignment to do to make sure that you're familiar with your tools and resources that you have available. Class officially begins April 1st. That is when your first coding lesson and assignment will begin on April 1st. Okay, what's our agenda tonight? We're going to get to know your class a little bit here at the front. After that, we're going to do a pretty deep and extensive dive into your tools. So that way, anybody who is new to our program and tested out of Intro will get a first look at all of the tools you'll use within our classes. Those of you who are returning to us from Intro or repeating a course or anything like that, tools haven't changed a ton, but we do have some new features that we'll be highlighting tonight as well. And then also for anybody that's new, and to just reiterate for those of you coming back, we'll cover student expectations and the resources that are available to you throughout class. Okay, so let's start with the who's who. Many of you probably already saw this slide either from the welcome videos or you remember it from a past class with us. But I just like to reiterate what our structure is. And remind everybody that the biggest key to success is being active and engaged and relying on your human and otherwise resources throughout the class. The best way to stay engaged is communication, both with each other in class as well as with all the people who are here to help you learn. So the people that we have available to help you learn are one-on-one mentors, group session mentors, assignment reviewers. So all of these are volunteers that help with our class, to help with instruction in some capacity or another, whether it's taking a look at your work and giving you feedback, whether it's meeting with you individually, or whether it's hosting a group session to be able to cover concepts and answer questions for a larger group of students. Above that, as far as hierarchy goes, then we have our cohort leaders. Roy Mosby and Tommy Armstrong are your cohort leaders in this class. We do have 2 section leaders, and you'll be assigned to one or the other of them. And we'll talk about what their role is here in just another minute. And then you also have me, so the Academic and Student Experience Director. I sort of oversee administrative things and make sure if you have questions about the program in general that I can help kind of guide you through that process. So if you run into any questions, if it's something basic like what week are we on, where can I find something, you can just open it up, ask your classmates or ask mentors or staff. When you need to talk about something more like catching up, working ahead, changing your plans for going through the program, talk to your cohort leader or talk to myself. Even if you wind up asking the wrong person, they can get you to the right person. But if you don't ask, then you'll never get an answer. So it's always good to ask when you have questions that arise. All right, so let's talk a little bit more about these cohort leaders that I just mentioned. The cohort leaders oversee a section of the class. There are enough of you in the class that we need to have two of them to be able to adequately support you throughout the course. Their whole projective, no, objective, their whole objective is to track your progress throughout class. So if they see you starting to slip behind, they're going to be reaching out to you. So that way, maybe you haven't had a chance to say, hey, I'm struggling with this. They'll say, I see you struggling with this. What can we do to help? What other additional resources that you need? But you can also reach out to them if you're starting to feel things are kind of slipping for you, things aren't falling into place for you. Definitely reach out to your cohort leaders so they can connect you with resources. Also, just make them aware in case you're going to be a day late or something on your assignment, then they are aware that it's not a case of you're struggling, it's just this is a busy week or something. They're very knowledgeable and capable in all of the technical aspects of your class, but their function is more administrative. So if you have technical questions, reach out to your mentors or your assignment reviewers first for technical questions. Your cohort leader is the perfect person to approach if you're having trouble with a tool or resources, any of the resources, if you need to discuss catching up, if you're behind, if you're going to be absent for a week and you need to make them aware that you're not going to be making the required group session, things of that variety. And you can reach them best by direct message on Slack, which we'll be covering in the tools section next. But let's get to know who they are a little bit more first. So I'm going to hand it over to Roy. And Roy, if you'd like to introduce yourself, please.
Certainly. Thank you. So, hello, everybody. My name is Roy Mosby, he, him, they, them. I'm based out of Savannah, Georgia. I've been working with Code to Dream for about 3.5, almost 4 years at this point. I started out as a React mentor and have been the SO for the React classes for about 5 cohorts now. This last cohort, I took a slight break so that I could write the current version of the curriculum that we're working with, and now I'm back for this one. So I'll be co-sil with Tommy Armstrong. Is he here today?
Sorry, my Zoom was hiding my controls.
No.
He is here digitally. I have a welcome video from him that I'll be sharing momentarily.
Alrighty, I'll hand it off to you then.
Okay, wonderful. All right. So thank you, Roy. Roy will be one of our section leaders. He's been very instrumental in the curriculum and is a wonderful help and just an all-around great guy that we love to have. Tommy actually is traveling, so he was not able to attend live with us tonight. Therefore, he has sent a welcome video that I will share with you all now. Let me stop sharing and just make sure that I did actually share sound when I did that. Let's see here. Bear with me just a second. Share controls, share sound. Okay, very good. And now I can pop on over to the video so that way you all can meet Tommy.
Hi there, and welcome to Code the Dreams React class. I'm Tommy Armstrong, and I will be a cohort instructional lead, CIL for short. And I just want to welcome you to the class and give you a brief introduction about me. So I am a software developer at SAS. That is a company local to Cary, North Carolina. And I started as a consultant there back in 2020. And I pivoted over to R&D as a software developer in 2023. And I currently develop compliance tools for financial institutions that we created with React, Golang, various other technologies. But I code primarily right now in React. I'm working on our UI web application for our backend service that we coded in Golang. I have been a mentor with Code the Dream since 2021. I've mentored the introduction course or intro to JS course, React, Node.js. I recently did a practicum, so I'm very familiar with Code the Dream and the various curriculums we offer. And I'm excited to help you on your React journey with this curriculum. I think a lot of you will enjoy React, It is a little daunting at first because some of the concepts are a little abstract, but React is a standard of the tech industry when it comes to UI. It has a lot of uses. It's created a ton of apps with various companies, and a lot of the apps that you see in a web browser have been constructed with React. And I'm pretty sure WordPress is based on React. So this is a really valuable skill to make you marketable in the tech industry. And I think you're just really going to enjoy it. I feel like, Intro to JS teaches you a lot of skills and coding concepts, but React, I feel like, is kind of your first opportunity to put that into real-world application and uses. So you should be excited, and, make sure you believe in yourself. And remember, if you feel uncomfortable, that's good. That means you're learning. And, we do the most of our growth outside of our comfort zone. And, that's how I became a confident and skilled software developer myself. So I'm excited to join you for this journey into React, and looking forward to working with all of you. And I will talk to you later. Bye.
All right, wonderful. So that was a word from Tommy. You'll get to see and talk with him more as the class goes on as well too. Let me get myself back over to our presentation here. Now that you've met your cohort leaders, we want to give you all a chance to meet each other. A lot of you are returning to us from past classes or have matriculated on from intro into the React class, but we also have a lot of new faces in the group. So I'm going to stop sharing and we are going to go into breakout rooms for about 5 minutes. So that way you could meet 2 or 3 other people in class with you and just get to know one another a little bit. Obviously you'll see each other in group sessions as well too. But it's nice just to kind of have a starting point and a little bit of time and space to be able to just be like, hey, here I am. So if you're new to Zoom, I will be creating breakout rooms. You'll get a little pop-up that says the host is inviting you to join breakout room number whatever. Click the blue join button. You'll want to share your name, your preferred pronouns, location if you're comfortable doing that, and then your favorite anything, book, show, food, flavor, ice cream, whatever. And then share what either you're most excited for or most worried about for this upcoming class if you'd like to. If you also want to share whether or not you've been in a Code the Dream class before or whatever, you're welcome to do that. Just have nice little conversations with each other. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and create these breakout rooms and pause our recording. Okay, so you've met cohort leaders, you've met a classmate or two. Next big section that we're going to cover is tools. We're going to be doing a lot of screen sharing in this, so that way you can get visuals on tools that you'll be using in class. Intro grads or returning students, you're already familiar with a lot of these tools, but for new students, you'll want to pay close attention so that way once you get access to your class on March 25th, and even before that, you can start getting into some of these tools and get yourself familiar with sort of the lay of the land of various things. For Slack, I will be sending anybody that's new to our program an invitation to that platform tomorrow. So keep an eye out tomorrow for anybody that's new to the program, an email from Slack inviting you to our Slack workspace. Let's see here. As a reminder that March 25th to March 31st is that week when you can get familiar with everything. And Roy and Tommy and myself will have office hours available during those dates as well too. So if you are running into issues, have questions, just want to double check and make sure you understand things, then you can always set up an office hours appointment with any of us. Okay, so let's get an overview of the tools that we're going to be diving into. The Learns app is a proprietary product that Code the Dream has built for our students to use. That's how you're going to access your lessons, your coding assignments, and your schedule. Then we will cover Slack. That is a communication platform that we use to keep in touch with one another about anything related to classes. And I'll dive into what those channels are like and how that works and things to keep an eye out for on Slack. We'll play with Zoom a little bit in case you're new to Zoom, so that way you can be comfortable with the tools within Zoom and you'll be ready to go for the group mentor sessions that are held on Zoom. We'll also take a look at GitHub briefly. Oh, I forgot to take and Kaggle off of that slide. I'm sorry, ignore that. Kaggle is nothing that you do in the React class. Only GitHub is all you'll be working with. So we'll take a look at GitHub and just familiarize yourself with that in the workflow. And then lastly, AirHub is an AI-powered review tool that Code the Dream has built for our students to use. And for those of you returning, we have some new uses in it this term, so we'll cover all of those things more in depth. All right, so let's dive in. First thing I want to do is drop the link in the chat for the Learns app. You do log in with GitHub. I'll show you how to do that right now. Let me switch my screen over to my browser. Here we go. So when you first go to that website, you'll see this, and it'll say login with GitHub. If we have any kind of typos in your GitHub user handle, or if you didn't provide us with a GitHub user handle, then you'll get an access denied error message if you try to log in. So if you're running into that, please talk to us and let us know so we can verify and make sure that you can get into this platform, since this is the biggest thing that you'll be using throughout class. And once you are in, this is the administrative mode, so you can ignore what it has on there right now. Where you'll wind up landing is the student dashboard, which looks like this. The dashboard just gives you a chronological overview of the class. So you'll see that you won't be able to access the course until March 25th. Sorry, let me switch to the one that actually makes sense for y'all, React. You won't be able to access the course itself until March 25th, but you're enrolled and you will have access beginning that date. The percentage here just lets you know how far chronologically we are throughout class, to kind of give you an idea of how far are we going through. Okay, once you are actually in there, I need to toggle back over to be able to show you what it looks like once you're in there on the 25th. Okay, so once you're in there, clicking on your course will take you into your class calendar. It'll show you when your weeks start and when the due date for the work for that week is. You'll see that there's just a learning to learn sort of class preparation, non-coding lesson and assignment for the 25th to the 31st, a little practice exercise. So you'll do that to begin with. And then from there, it lets you know what the topics are for the particular week. You click on the lesson and it'll take you to the specific lesson page. All of our lesson pages will have learning objectives outlined for you, so that way you know, what am I going to be working on this week? From there, your lesson materials are listed below. You have a discussion topics section, which is going to cover a lot of the concepts that you'll be exploring and working with in your coding assignment for the week. There is also an excellent section about checking your understanding, and a summary section to kind of recap everything that you had worked through. And then references and further reading. So if you've gotten into something and you're like, ooh, that was interesting, I want to learn more about that. Or if there's something that you're like, I'm not sure what they meant there, then there are references and further reading available to you at the bottom. Okay, you will have weekly exercises in this class that you kind of work with alongside your lesson that you do not need to turn in. The exercises are the practice work, so that way you can get hands-on and have a more active, engaged learning experience. And then you also have a coding assignment, and the coding assignment you do turn in. I have that right, Roy, or did I get that mixed up? Do they turn in both exercises and the coding assignment, or they just turn in the coding assignment?
No, they'll turn in both.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. So I told you wrong. Listen to what Roy said. Turn in both your exercises and your coding assignment. All right, perfect. So the coding assignment outlines everything, gives you screenshots, kind of helps guide you along, so that way you're aware of what you need to build out. Once the class is live, then this grayed out button that says continue to submission form will be green, and it will take you to an assignment submission form. It'll pre-fill your lesson for you, and then from there you just fill out the additional information, as far as like, you'll put the link to your work in. If you had questions you want your reviewer to be aware of, you can include those on your form. We ask a lot of general data information about, like, how long did it take? Was it a hard or an easy lesson? So that way we can gauge if there's any tweaks we need to be making to our curriculum from term to term. All right, so that covers lesson pages and your learning materials, your coding assignment, your submission form for how to get to that. You also have some additional tools I want to point out in Learns app beyond just the curriculum and the work that you'll be doing in class. So also in the Learns app, we've got the resources section. If you have questions about the apprenticeship, we have information there. We have class resources in case you wanted to kind of explore what's front end versus back end work like. If you need any refreshers on Git processes and Git workflows. And then down here in career development, if you are currently job seeking, or if you just want to be prepared and ready to be job seeking once you get through the node class and the practicum, then you can take a look at this content at any point. So just know that you do have some additional resources that are outside the curriculum that are available if you'd like to lean on those at all. There is an accessibility feature to be able to toggle back and forth between dark and light mode, so feel free to utilize that if you need to. And I think that hits the highlights for LearnZap. Any questions in particular or things you need demonstrated again before I move on? All right, cool. So we'll move right along then. Excuse me, allergies. I've been clearing my throat nonstop lately. Okay, so log in using your GitHub account. Access begins the 25th. Class calendar to take a look at your lessons and due dates to recap. Lesson pages to see your lesson materials and assignments. I include screenshots like this in my slide deck because I'm going to be sharing this slide deck with you all, as well as the recording of tonight's video. So that way, if you need a visual of what was this tool, what does this look like, then you can always refer back to it. Yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat. The courses section is not working for you, Eriko. Okay, I'll double check and make sure everything looks accurate for you. Our app does update every hour on the half hour. So if I implement a change, then it could be up to an hour before the change takes effect. So yeah, but I'll investigate that for you. Let me put a little note to myself right now. Okay, perfect. All right. So then moving right along. All right, for Slack, that's the next item that we're going to be taking a look at. Yes, the exercise is for practice and you do need to turn it in as well. Thank you for doubling down on that question in the chat. Okay, Slack is how we communicate throughout the program. Any announcements of events or activities, online or in person, will be available there. Announcements about your class specifically, all kinds of important communications are going to happen predominantly in Slack. For that reason, you want to be sure to check it regularly and often, so 3 times a week at minimum. It is an app that you can add to mobile devices, cell phones. It has an app for your desktop if you want to use that, or it's also browser based. So you can use it in whatever context or whatever makes sense for your workflow and for your patterns of how you check messages on things. Through it, you can reach mentors, cohort leaders, Code the Dream staff, each other. So it's a great way to kind of group everybody into an easily communicable space. You have 3 channels that are for class communications that are specific to your class: announcements, discussion, and outlet. I'll show you those and talk about those a little bit here in a second. You also have some general channels that are more than just your class, that it has a whole bunch of people in it. So just consider your audience and who you're trying to reach before you post something. Okay, let's take a look at this and get a visual, so that way if anybody's new to it, then you'll get a little bit more familiar with what it looks like. Again, I'll be sending out invitation to the workspace if you're new to our program tomorrow. So keep an eye out in your email for a message from Slack inviting you to the Code the Dream workspace. When you accept it, go ahead and put your class name, React 26.2, in either your profile or your display names. A number of our mentors and staff work with students from multiple classes, so it'll be quicker, easier, more streamlined for us to know what materials do we need to reference to answer your question just by glancing at your name and immediately knowing from that glance which class you're associated with. All right, so when you log in, you'll have a list of channels on the left. You can access your profile down here in the bottom. Sorry, I always have to kind of like resize this a little bit in order to get it out of the way of some of my Zoom tools. So if you need to edit your profile, you can click on your picture in the bottom left. It'll pull up your profile on the side, click edit. You can adjust your name or your display name. Please include your actual given name somewhere in your full name or your display name on your profile, because it can get really confusing and hard to find the right people to communicate with if you have a nickname or something that doesn't somewhat relate to what your actual name on file with us is. But you can include anything in your profile there that you need or want to. You can update your photo, all those kinds of things. Okay, so your channels panel are going to be on the left. That will show you different subsections of groups of people to be able to communicate about different things. So here I'm in your Spring 26 React announcements channel. That's where you're going to be seeing any important announcements relating to your class. It'll be a reminder of what your what week you're on, if there are any things to keep in mind as you're working on the lesson for that given week, if we have any events that you can attend online for additional like training or job resources or things like that. We'll share all of that in any kind of announcements channel, so keep an eye on that. Also in your announcements channel, you'll see a class information tab up here at the top. So messages gets us whatever people are posting, but this tab right next to it has pretty much all of the links you could possibly need for anything that you need for class. We've got a link to your Learns app, link specifically to your class calendar, how to find whether you're with Tommy or with Roy. The one-on-one mentor gallery is going to be very useful for you. If you need or want to meet with somebody one-on-one to get help, just click on there. It takes you to show you all of the mentors that are associated with your class that have one-on-one availability. You do not have to meet with anybody specific, so look for whoever has availability that aligns with your availability. If they speak any additional languages or if they provided a bio, you'll see information like that there. To schedule with them, you'll just click the click here to schedule button. It will take you to whatever their scheduling platform is. Some of them might use Google Scheduler like Min has here. Some of them might use Calendly, so they might look a little bit different. But any days that they have appointments available will be blue bubbles. So you can pick the day and time you want to meet, fill out information about who you are that's meeting. You'll put in your email address so you can get a confirmation you've scheduled, and then you can book the appointment and both of you get an email reminder of you're going to meet with so-and-so at such and such day. So it's a pretty helpful user-friendly tool for the most part for being able to set up one-on-ones and less back and forth of, hey, can you meet this time? No, how about this time? Simplifies it a little bit. Your student handbook, the AI review tool, information about registration and submitting assignments is in here. Anything related to mentor sessions as far as what the schedule is, the link to be able to join group sessions. If we have any recordings of past group sessions, those are available here. So just tons and tons of information. Being able to schedule with Roy or Tommy, or being able to reach them or staff members, all of that information is listed there. At the very bottom here is going to be your mentor session schedule. We are still confirming times and days with our group mentors. So even though it's empty now, it will not be empty come next week. You'll see the mentor's name and then the time for when their session will start. All of the group sessions start on April 1st because that's when your coding assignments actually start. So beginning April 1st, group sessions, take a look at the schedule to find out who's doing what when. You do need to attend one group session every week. If there aren't any group sessions that work for your schedule, you need to attend one-on-one session, and you'll need to set that up and schedule it and get it squared away. So you need to be meeting synchronously with a mentor in either group or one-on-one format every week. We recommend meeting twice a week because that tends to be a sweet spot and keeps people from falling off track or getting too far behind or anything like that. Questions about what you're seeing here in Slack at all? Okay, perfect. Yes, yeah, Arico, the invitations for people who are new to the program will be going out tomorrow. So if you're getting a message about there isn't an account associated with Code the Dream yet, I need to send out those invitations to you tomorrow. I just wanted to give you all visuals on it first so that you wouldn't get an email and be like, oh, this is spam and throw it away, or get into it and be like, where do I go now? What am I doing? Okay, perfect. So the announcements channel is for important announcements, and it has your class information. The discussion channel is for you to be able to communicate about curriculum, questions that you have. Your mentors and you all are in this channel. So you might have a fellow student answering a question, you might have a mentor answering a question, but it's a great place just to be talking about the curriculum and questions related to the curriculum that you have. And then you all will also have this React outlet. It's just Tommy and Roy and myself in there, along with you all students. And you can use it more as a social thing, like, how's everybody doing this week? Anybody doing anything exciting? Or, boy, that last assignment was a doozy, but I'm glad we got through it. Things like that. You also will have, let me find it. Sorry, I have tons and tons of channels on mine. You'll have some channels that start with the word all. those are ones where everybody's in it. So like all student convo, it's not just your React crew, it's the Node, React, Intro, Python 100, Python 200, and probably some students from before that are all in that all student convo. All announcements is also something for leadership within Code the Dream to make announcements to everybody that's in Code the Dream. And then there's a fun all random one too that usually has, funny nerdy memes that we post in it. So those are the channels, and that's Slack. Hopefully it's a pretty good preview. Spend from tomorrow on and your week 0 time frame kind of getting in there and play with it a little bit. Direct message each other, try putting posts in that discussion channel, and just kind of practice and play with it and get comfortable with it. Okay. Any questions about Slack that I haven't answered? Oh, we have not talked about the end date of the class, and I need to remind myself because I've been so focused on the start dates that I don't have the end date off the top of my head. Let's see here. June 16th is the end date. So all of your work for the class needs to be turned in no later than June 16th. And then July 1st is when you would begin your node class. You have a 2-week gap for us to be able to kind of process you all administratively. Okay, great. Moving right along. Let me jump back in here. Okay, so now we're going to have a little bit of fun with Zoom. Zoom is how you'll do group sessions. As I mentioned at the start too, it will be open. So if you want to hop on with some classmates and do a little online study hall, you're welcome to do that and use it in that way as long as there isn't a scheduled session already going on. Sessions will begin April 1st. You need to attend one group session or in the absence of your availability of attending a group session, a one-on-one session every week. We recommend attending 2 a week. Preferably have your cameras on when you're in group sessions and especially in one-on-one sessions. But if you can't, that's fine. We know sometimes things are going on or you're not in a space that's convenient to be able to have camera on. If you aren't able to have camera on, be engaged. So use the chat, use your audio to unmute and ask questions or answer questions. Use the reactions with, thumbs up, yes, I understand, those kinds of things, because they're all going to be helpful items to be able to have a good communication with the person that you're on the session with, so that way they understand that you're understanding and so forth. All right, I'm going to stop sharing for a second so we can play with our Zoom tools a little bit. Go ahead and put your favorite color in the chat. Obviously, you already know how to sign on to Zoom because you're here. So just put your favorite color in the chat so we know that you can find the chat and access it. And while you're in chat, you'll also notice that there's a button at the top. This is fairly new for Zoom that says New Chat. So you can start either a one-on-one or a small group of people private chat within the chat in case you wanted to like message the group mentor during a call and ask a question that maybe you didn't feel comfortable asking in general for everybody to see. So feel free to utilize those tools to be able to get the most out of your sessions. Excellent. Looks like everybody's doing great with that. Yeah, sorry, in the chat feature, there's a blue square at the top that says everyone, and right next to it is a square.
Mary, I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead, Julian.
When it comes to meeting with our on Zoom, are we meeting for everybody, like group sessions 2 times a week, or are these like usually just our mentor meetings?
Yeah, so the group sessions are going to be with a mentor. They're typically an hour long. The schedule will vary and you don't have to stick with the same one. So say you go to Tuesday night session on the first week of class and you're like, boy, that was kind of hard for me to juggle with things that I have going on before and after. Then the following week you can join the Thursday session instead. So the schedule should stay pretty consistent.
Okay.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. Like you said that we don't have to join the same ones. Would that mean that there's different mentors for
Correct.
the different dates that we have? Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Usually we have at least 3 or 4 mentors each class that are specifically group mentors.
Okay.
And so they'll be able to do that. And there might be a little bit of difference too, depending on when you join. So our classes run Wednesday to Tuesday, like the class week runs Wednesday to Tuesday. So if you're joining a session on like Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, where it's the start of a new week, then it's going to be more of, let's take a look at what the lesson is this week and kind of preview it and talk about the concepts. And then if you join more on like a Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, that's towards the end of the week. Most people probably have looked at their lesson materials, worked on their coding assignment a little bit, or at least reviewed what the coding assignment is. And so it becomes a little bit more of a, let's kind of walk through the assignment and talk
I
about
totally understand
what
that.
that's
Yeah.
like. Yeah, perfect. Great. Okay, so we know you all can use the chat. Feel free to make sure you're familiar with the audio video buttons. You can unmute yourself and say hello real quick so you know where the audio button's at.
Hello.
Hey.
Hello.
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 My favorite
Hello.
part
Hello,
is
guys.
getting to hear your voices.
Hello.
And then the video button's
Hello.
right next to it too. So to turn your video off, click the video button and you've just seen me disappear. Turn the video back on and you're back on camera. Feel free to leave yourself on or off camera, whatever you prefer to do. But I just want to make sure everybody can see it. Good. You guys are already using it. Wonderful. The react button's the little heart icon that's at the bottom in the middle. So you can put up fun little icons that will either react and show behind you on your screen, or it'll just pop up a little reaction just like Aaliyah and Shanta and Crystal and Ashley and Taji and everybody's been doing. That's wonderful. Yay! You guys are Zoom pros. You got this. This is wonderful. All right, and then the very last thing, I don't want anybody to share screen, but I want to note that the button next to the heart emoji is a rectangle with an up arrow, and it says share underneath it. If you click that, it'll open a modal, and it'll show you like you can share your entire screen, you can share just a specific window. So if you have time, get on a Zoom just by yourself sometime and just play around with it so that way you get comfortable with it, because there will be times when you do need to share screen to be able to demonstrate like this is the error I'm getting, or like when I hit run, this is what happens to it. So it's always good to just kind of get yourself comfortable and familiar with those tools in case you need to share on any calls that you're on. Okay. All right, keeping on with our presentation, another visual and just a guide of what the tools are that are usually kind of floating along the bottom there for you. Okay, next up is GitHub. GitHub is what you'll use for your exercises, your assignments. There is a specific workflow that we guide you on and have you follow each lesson. People coming back from previous classes with us will already be pretty familiar with it, but if you felt kind of weak about it or unsure about it or not super confident with it, make sure that you're getting stronger in that throughout the early weeks of this course. But in general, the workflow is you'll pull so that the main branch of code that is the approved most recent version of code is on your local machine. You branch off of that so that way the main body of code that is accurate and good to go doesn't get affected by the work you're doing. You'll work in that branch, stage, commit, and push any changes that you make. Create a pull request. That pull request lets the reviewers take a look at what was the code, what was the work that you did, compare them, and make sure that the work that you were supposed to do that week has been completed sufficiently. When everything looks good, you merge that pull request to update your main, and then you just repeat it the next week. So it's a quick run through of sort of that workflow. If this feels weird, unusual, unfamiliar, new to you, be sure that you're getting with mentors the first couple of weeks to get very comfortable with what that workflow is. The reason we have you follow this is because when you are out there working in the world, you're likely going to have to collaborate at some point. So having multiple people working on the same body of code, this is the most effective way to have one branch, one main branch or a production branch that does not get impacted by any kind of feature changes, bug improvements, anything like that you're trying to do to an app until it's been thoroughly tested and make sure it works properly. And then that gets merged into that production. So users aren't affected by things that developers are improving and building and working on. Comments on your pull requests will be feedback from human reviewers. And there'll be valuable advice for you to be able to figure out, like, if there's a particular line of code, they can reference that and let you know this is what's wrong here, great job on this, that kind of stuff. I'm going to give you visuals on those really quick too, just in case it's been a while since you've been in GitHub and just so that everybody kind of has it fresh in their mind. So here we are in GitHub. I'm in a specific repository of my account. This is just a little sample one that I made up. So all of my files are here in the code tab. Pull requests is when I have done some work on a branch and then sent it to GitHub. Then I create a pull request so that way they can take a look and see, okay, what did she change on this specific file between how it was and how it is now. But the conversation section of a pull request is where I can put either notes in for myself, and then any comments would show up below it from a different user. But since it was just me, then I'm commenting on my own code. But you'll see your reviewer's information and then the comment on your pull request there. So code and pull requests are going to be the two biggest areas of your repository that you're jumping in and out of as you work throughout class. I think that hits the highlights for GitHub. Get with mentors if anything feels uncertain, if you're nervous about, am I doing this right? It's always good to get solid on that early on so that it's not this uphill battle of fixing things down the road. Okay, oops, showing off my whale there. Let's see here. Jumping back to our presentation. Okay. So, submitting assignments. I showed you earlier when we were looking at LearnZap, the button at the bottom of the screen will take you to the assignment submission form. Always use that button that's on the bottom of your lesson page to submit, because that's going to make sure that the work you're submitting is linked with the proper lesson. And so you're not accidentally submitting like week 5 work on lesson 4 lesson. So use that button to be able to pre-fill the lesson into your assignment submission form, make sure that that's accurate. New this term is getting AI review on your work first. So that way you immediately get feedback on the code itself that you've written. So I'm going to demonstrate that now to kind of give you an idea of what that new workflow for everybody looks like. So if you are an intro grad or returning student, you'll definitely want to pay attention to this part. Okay, so we're in the assignment submission form. We've put in our link to our work. We've filled out whatever fields we needed to fill out, and then we click submit. Usually you were getting a, great, we got your assignment message, and then that was it. But now you'll have a redirect to our AI review tool, AirHub. So when you do that, then it will redirect you to AirHub, and it will start taking the links that you submitted for your work and checking it against what the assignment was and what the exercise was. So that way it can evaluate and see, did those meet the requirements for the week or not? So it's thinking right now. It will take it a couple of minutes, so just give it some time. And then you'll get results on assignment successful or assignment needs revisions. There we go. So for this particular one, it's saying, nope, something's wrong with it. Revisions are needed. It keeps track of the date and time that you submitted, although the time looks a little bit off, but that's okay. And it gives you feedback. So here's what you did well. Here's where there are things that are wrong in a summary. So read through your feedback. If you get a revision needed, go ahead and schedule a one-on-one with a mentor. For 2 reasons, I'm going to recommend that you do this. The first is, if there are things that you need to work on, then you already have something scheduled. You can start getting help with whatever it is that you need help with. The second reason is to make sure that AI isn't going all crazy on us and is telling you wrong information. We have tested this and have vetted it, so it should be pretty solid for you. But in the event you feel that the feedback that you get here is incorrect, you can mark it as such. But regardless, if you get revision needed, schedule with a one-on-one mentor, just a sanity check to make sure that, yeah, this is wrong, we need to mark it incorrect, or yes, this is right, and now I've got an appointment to be able to get clarity on those topics. You can also even use the chat feature to reference what it's telling you. So it will be able to connect to the feedback it gave you. So what do you mean about the core modules demo part? And it will know to reference, oh, okay, I had told you core modules demo. Here's a little bit more information about that specific bullet. So you can have that sort of interaction about the information that you got with AI. All of your submissions will be kept track in your little history tab over here on the side. So if you ever need or want to go back to a previous week's submission, then you can find that in your history tab. You can also take a look at My Stats, and that will show you like how many submissions you've done for a particular course. You can take a look at a specific lesson within a particular course and see what was my submission with them, was it right? So a lot of good information in the My Stats section that you can take a look at if you need to also. Beyond it redirecting you as soon as you submit, then you can also just use this as you're working through. So for example, if you wanted to take a look at what the lesson was for it, it gives you what the instructions were for your lesson. You can use the chat feature to be able to ask questions about, tell me more about React components. So there are features within this tool that you can use outside of this direct, I've submitted, it's given me feedback, now what? So you can use it in more flexible ways as well too. All right, wonderful. I think there was a question about less about it recording mistakes and how to fix them, and more about checking your work as a first pass the way a human reviewer would and giving you feedback on it. It's not going to give you any direct answers because you need to have active learning, but it will help kind of guide you as far as general information about this is the area that needs some work. Take a look at these resources to be able to get a better grasp on those topics. Okay, so explore that this coming week or two also. Play around with it, play with the chat feature, look at the different, menu settings and options and things like that, just to get yourself comfortable with it. The other part of the AirHub tool that is new this time around is the quiz feature. I'll be going over that momentarily. Before we dive into the quiz feature, I just kind of want to reiterate, since we're using an AI tool, sort of what our AI policy is. For advanced classes, our AI policy is that if you are using AI, it needs to be a small portion that you use to write code for your work, and the majority of your work needs to be written by you. Any AI that you use, or if you use it to refactor your code, then you need to be leaving a comment in your code, and you need to include notes in your assignment submission form that credits the AI tool that you're using, whether it's AirHub or if you had used a different AI platform, and explains how you used it and why you used it. So it's good to be able to just notate, like, this wasn't my code, this was AI code, this is why I used it, I understand what it's doing, I did it for this reason. If you do have any AI-powered tools like Autocomplete or Copilot, Ask a Mentor, you may want to turn those off, because if it's doing your work for you without you realizing it's doing your work for you, then you're shortchanging yourself for learning. And any overt violations where it's like, yes, I know, I'm just using AI because I just want the work done and I don't care about understanding it, and now I can just be like, hey, my work's done. Violations of that nature will get you expelled from the program. So just be aware of that. Yeah, Lee, there's a question. Go ahead.
Yeah, for autocomplete, is it autocomplete that's powered by generative AI, or is it like more vanilla kinds of autocomplete are also
Yes, thank
not?
you for thank you for identifying the difference. Yeah, autocomplete that's just like I've started typing a word and it's completing the word for me, that's totally fine. So the vanilla type is perfectly good. When it's generative, where it's like creating huge blocks of code for you, or large sections of code, or even just, like you start typing a function and it does a full function for you because from the reference of the code you've already written, it thinks this is what you want to do next and it plugs a whole bunch of stuff in there. That's what you want to make sure that you turn off and don't use.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for asking that. You do not have to use VS Code. You can use any IDE that you want. VS Code is just a pretty easy to use, inexpensive platform, free platform to the best of my knowledge, with the exception of certain like extensions that you can plug in. So yes, it's fine if you want to use your own IDE, especially if you're already familiar with what it is, how it works, and all of that kind of thing. If you're unfamiliar with it, then VS Code's a good place to start and what we usually recommend. Okay, so these are the no-nos for the AI policy as far as don't have it writing substantial chunks of your work, or anything more than just a little bit of your work, and be aware of the possibility of expulsion if you're abusing AI use. But we do want you to use it because it's a tool that's out there. It's realistic that everybody's using it and that you need to be aware of what it is and how it's used and how to use it to your advantage. So we do expect you to use AirHub. You should be treating any AI tool, whether it's AirHub or something else, like a teaching assistant while you're in a learning setting. You're not going to go up to a teacher in a class and be like, give me the answers to the test. You're going to go up to the teacher in the class and you're going to say, can you give me pointers on what I should focus on and study on so that way I can do well on the test? So treat AI the same way you would treat a human teacher. You're not going to be overt. You're going to say, explain more about this, help me understand this, where did I go wrong? And we are adding some AI prompts to classes content to kind of help guide you in that area about how do I phrase my prompt to AI to get this kind of learning instead of just give me the answer kind of learning. Critical thinking is key, and AI can hallucinate. There can be issues with it. It can be referencing older content. So that's why we want to make sure that you're focusing on the thinking aspect and not putting all of your eggs in an AI basket. Okay, so we talked about the chat feature, the assignment review for working on your assignments, as well as that first round assignment checker as soon as you submit your assignment. Comments on your pull request, as a reminder, are going to be from those human reviewers. They're not going to be from an AI bot. So pay attention to any review feedback that you receive there. But let's also kind of dive into quizzes a little bit that I alluded to earlier. They are being beta tested this term, and that's why we really want you to be taking any quizzes that are available every week that you can, because it's a twofold benefit. One, you're helping us refine a product for future students, and two, it gives you a big picture, quick little comprehension check that you can do each week. So it helps your learning, and it's helping us make sure that our tools are adequate and intentionally supporting students the way we need to. It's not anything that's going to impact any kind of grading or passing for your class. So it doesn't matter if you take a quiz and you get all of them wrong every single week. That doesn't matter. As long as you are doing your coding assignments and your final project and those things are passing, you will still pass the class. So don't be stressed out if you're an anxious test taker. And we also have built-ins to make the quizzes more of a learning experience and less of a stressful test experience. So for every question on every quiz, you get 2 attempts at each question. And for every quiz, you get 3 attempts at the quiz. They should be no more than about 5 questions for each quiz. So it also shouldn't be a huge time suck for you either. Okay, I want to demonstrate what the quiz feature looks like for you so that way you're aware. On your lesson page, these are for older classes, so they do not have the button, but they'll have a button on the lesson page that has you take the quiz. I'm going to use the admin tools to be able to jump to the quizzes right now, so that way you can see what they wind up looking like. Oh, come on now. Hold on, I've got to find one that has one in it, since they're older classes. Here we go. Okay. So for students, it will wind up looking like this. You'll have a purple go to quiz button on your lesson page. So you'll go to the quiz and it'll start the quiz process for you. It says, do your best to answer without using any kind of outside resources and just, get those brain cells working and see how you do with it. So I'm going to answer to the best of my ability without using outside resources. And you start your quiz. It does it in a chat format. So the AI tool is going to chat with you and say, here's your question. How can you exit a loop immediately regardless of the condition? And you have to try and figure out what's going to be the right answer for this. We're going to give just any old answer and see if it's right. So you provide what you think the answer is. If you're right, it'll say, excellent, but I did not get it right. So it'll say, not quite. Here's a hint. Think about what's happening with the question that they're asking you. And then we'll give it a different answer and we'll see if I got it right this time. It's been a while since I've done some coding. Yay! Okay. So I did not get it right and it'll let me know the correct answer is this. You can keep asking questions about the topic or you can move on to the next question. So if in your 2 attempts you didn't get it right, it'll be an X. If you did get it right in either of your attempts, it'll be a green check. You can keep talking about the topic or you can move on to your next question. If you go to exit the quiz and you haven't finished all the questions, it just lets you know the other questions will be marked as incorrect if you exit. And then you just exit the quiz or complete the quiz are your options. And in the My Stats page is where you can go back and take a look at what your quiz results were like. Questions about the quiz feature at all or about the AirHub tool at all before I move on?
Yeah, I think there was one question. Somebody was, Taji was asking if it was a progress check. So basically, is this something that it's count towards the grades, or is this just another tool that the students can use to help with understanding?
For the quiz feature, it is just a progress check to help with understanding. It's not anything that we assess to evaluate whether or not you will have considered passing the class. So the quiz feature, because we're still in sort of testing mode of it, it does not impact your passing or not passing the React class at all. Yeah. All right, nice. Any other questions that I missed that you noticed, Roy, or are we good to keep going? Okay, good.
No,
Keep
you're
going.
good.
Nice. Oh, sorry. I think was somebody unmuting and asking.
I got one more. Will this
Yeah,
be
go ahead.
usable for the intro course too, even after we completed it?
I think so. You should have access to it, so I think you can go back and quiz yourself on things if you want to. Feel free to give it a try over the next week or two, and if anything isn't working, then just message me and let me know. I haven't tested it in that way, so I'm curious if it will let you go back to old lessons or old courses you've already taken and test yourself. Cool. All right. You've been hearing me chatter a little bit, so I'm going to let Roy talk a little bit about some student expectations here to give my voice a rest and so that you can hear from him and his wonderful experience on things that we expect out of you for class.
Yeah, certainly. Thank you. So yeah, go ahead and take your break. So student expectations. So the first and foremost is communicate. We are in an online environment, so we're not seeing face to face. So the only real way that we know what's going on with you is if you let us, you reach out and you let us know. With that also, we're all adults here. When it comes to interacting with people, I usually try to work with a personal policy of assume positive intent. Basically, there are a lot of different ways that people communicate, and we want to, assume that positive intent or positive intent. Because we're trying to get something done. We're trying to make sure that y'all understand, what your coding is, what your work is for the week, and so on and so forth. So it's a semi-professional environment. You'll be treated with dignity. We expect that same dignity and respect in return. Academic integrity. This is another important part of it. Even though this course ends with a certificate, that is not the end all be all of what this course is about. This course is about, developing a stronger understanding of React and troubleshooting common problems that you run into while coding up. So really, cheating any sort of way is only cheating yourself because at the end of the day, you are going to have to be able to explain to your potential employer how certain things are done and make sure that you actually make sure that you're actually understanding the information. Education engagement, that really plays on the communicate as well. This is your experience. It's an online self-paced class. We do kind of expect you to follow along with the whole cohort. We'll go into that just a little bit further in the next couple of slides. But being engaged, Mary Alice did talk about the different resources that you have. Being able to reach out to your mentors, being able to use all the different like the review tools and the quiz generator and whatnot. So make sure that you're using everything and keep up with all of that. AI policy. Bottom line again is, AI is here. It is a tool that is going to be used more and more in all the environments that we engage in. For Code to Dream, make sure that you're using AI to assist your efforts. Make sure that you're putting, the work in, trying to do the troubleshooting, writing the code yourself. It helps develop muscle memory to do it yourself. And make sure that you're not allowing the AI tool to, do all of that stuff for you, because it's just going to do you a disservice.
Yeah, and one thing that one of our other cohort leaders has mentioned to his students before too that always sticks in my mind is you want to be the person that the boss comes to ask questions when AI is broken something. You don't want to be the person that like I can't do it unless I have AI. So giving yourself a good solid foundation of understanding regardless of AI use is always an important skill to have.
Yes, indeed. All right. So what if you face challenges? Again, online environment. Like, we got Slack. We're here to help you out. You'll have a league of mentors that you'll be able to reach out to, as well as you can also get some assistance with questions during your group mentor sessions. Um, Going back to the communication portion of it, we can only say so much just by looking through the records. So the big thing is if there was no really real communication from you, and we don't see work for 2 or more weeks, we don't know what's going on other than the fact that you're not here, so we'll need to drop you. It's just the fact of the matter that the course is only 11 weeks long, and it's such a hard thing to do to catch up with that stuff unless you're working with a mentor or me or Tommy to develop a plan to catch up. Now, your go-to resources, like I said, are one-on-one meetings with a mentor or the group session. You can Slack me or Tommy, but make sure that when you're doing that, that you are kind of reaching out to the mentors first. We're there. Both him and I are, technically capable, but we want to make sure that, you're engaging with the mentors first. We're kind of the emergency backstop. Oops, if something goes completely off the rails, that's definitely what me and Tommy are here for when it comes to that sort of thing. Again, we'll also, work with you to develop that catch-up plan. You fall behind, you reach out. We'll definitely work with you, even if it comes to like being you 2 weeks late. As long as you're working with us actively, um, that is, it's acceptable. I mean, because we're here ultimately to make sure that you succeed. Again, anything else to add, Mary?
Think that's the highlights. Oh, one thing actually, yeah, let me go back a quick second. One other thing to note for being behind 2 weeks. So your lesson one assignment is due April 7th for your week one assignment. If it's April 14th and we haven't seen it, then you'll be dropped from the class at that point just because you never even got started with the class. And then we'd be 2 weeks into class at that point, which means you're basically 20% of the schedule behind schedule, which is a huge mountain to climb. So be sure that you get your lesson one in either on the due date or before the due date. April 7th is the due date that's scheduled for your week one assignment. But absolutely have it in by the 14th. We know sometimes, especially at the start of class, oh, I couldn't get access for a couple of days or something was down or I was still trying to find my way around. That's fine. Definitely get it in by the 14th. If we don't have your week one by the 14th, then you'll be dropped from class as well too. That was the only thing I wanted to add.
All right.
Perfect.
So, yeah. So how do I ask for help? So first, before you do any sort of reaching out, make sure that you've exhausted all of your own options. Do your research online. Go back through and review the materials. This right here is like one of those good opportunities to engage with artificial intelligence because you're able to do different things. Like you can try to find it, like you can ask it to reword things, ask specific points where like you need clarification on those details or different approaches to that. So when you do end up having to ask for help, make sure that you're providing enough information so that people can the mentors can actually work with you. You'll need to know you'll need to provide like your information, like who you are, what your class has. And we say that because our mentors do mentor in several different classes. So just a message saying, help, help me out, I'm confused. They might be mentoring like 3 or 4 different classes, and they would have to do research to figure that out. You can provide that up front, and that would be it would save everybody a lot of time in that process. Also, whenever you're reaching out for help, make sure that you're being specific about what it is you're asking. It says, provide, copy paste, snippets or share screenshots of relevant messages. And then like also include some of the resources that you may have used, but were not successful. So like, I got this error message. I went and I looked on MDN and React.dev to try to get an explanation, but it didn't really say what I needed it to, it didn't really clarify that for me. Going back to the original, we're all online. Make sure that we're communicating professionally too. And finally, being online, not everybody has the same time that they are able to devote to being online. So if you do ask a person a question, give them a day or two to give them a chance to answer it. Our mentors are volunteers themselves, so they can only fit it in their schedule whenever they can. It's not really up to the urgency of the question. Give them a little bit of time to answer. And if that doesn't work, there's also the discussion channel. People can help you out there too.
Was there a question, Daria?
Oh, no, sorry.
Oh, that's quite all right. Just wanted to make sure we weren't missing any questions if there was one.
Yep. All right, be engaged. Make sure that you're keeping and showing up. We recommend that you attend more than one mentor session per week. It's certainly not mandatory, but we do find that people are highly engaged with it. They are able to talk to multiple mentors. They get multiple perspectives on all the materials that are provided on each week, so people end up understanding the stuff better. And then also make sure that you're following a study plan, prior to starting up, your obligations that you have, how many hours a week that you're able to devote or required to devote to working with it. Make sure that you know how you're going to divide that up ahead of time so that you can keep yourself on task. And if you do need to help trying to figure this sort of thing out, again, me and Tommy are here for that. We can help you develop a plan to help you work around odd work schedules or, family care or whatever the case may be.
An interesting data point that I wanted to add in while we were talking about things that'll help you thrive. If anybody either struggled in their previous class or if you're repeating React this term, we recently saw data from our last year's worth of data on students that the biggest factor that determined whether or not a student was successful when they retook was increasing the number of mentor sessions they had. So it didn't matter anything else. It was the fact that they were engaging synchronously with mentors more frequently than they had in their previous attempt. That was what made the difference. So really make use of mentors in your class, especially if you feel like you're struggling or falling behind. That can be the biggest thing that'll make a difference and help you succeed. Okay, so what if you fall behind? I mean, this is definitely something that can happen. If you're having short-term issues like I was sick with the flu for a week, or I had an injury that made me not be able to use my screen or my computer for a little while or things like that, then that's totally fine. Those things come up. Plan to work ahead if it's a known short-term issue, like if you know you're going to be on vacation for a week, or if you know that your work schedule is going to be increasing your hours for a given week or something. If you can, work ahead. If you can't, then make a catch-up plan for yourself and stick to it. So as soon as okay, I'll be done with physical therapy by this date, so I need to go ahead and really lay into it and plan to get a lesson done over 4 days for the next however many days. So really make a concrete plan for yourself so that way you have targeted dates to be able to working towards. If you do fall behind, Roy or Tommy will share a catch-up plan form with you that helps you articulate and really think about how do I plan a catch-up and what is going to help me catch up, as far as, is it going to be meeting with mentors more often? Is it going to be adjusting my schedule some? What am I going to do to be able to get myself back on track? If you make a catch-up plan and you're not able to stick to it, then that might be a good indication that it's okay to take a leave of absence. So a leave of absence means something's changed, you're not able to stay on track, or you don't think you'll be able to complete the class on time, and that's okay. It happened to me when I was a student. It happens to a lot of our students. You can reapply. Nobody gets blacklisted for needing to take a leave of absence or for having life get in the way and having to retake a class later. So feel free to take care of the most important things in your life first and do that through a leave of absence and come back to us when things settle down. That's completely fine to do. If you are dropped from a class, then dropping is a little bit different because it means that you weren't communicating, you weren't attending sessions, that you just kind of ghosted the program. And for that reason, then you would be dropped from the class, so that way we can focus our resources on the students who are engaged and who are needing the assistance to be able to get through the class. You can definitely still reapply regardless of if you are taking a leave of absence or you're dropped. And in either case, if you are approved to be able to retake the course, then you'll restart the course as if it's your first time. You can't just pick up where you left off. Similar to that, if you do find yourself in a situation that you need to retake, and you think things will be in a situation that you can retake as soon as the next quarter, which is July 1st is when the summer term will start. So maybe you just have a really crazy spring because, you've got a family member graduating or you're graduating a program or something. And so you've got finals and midterms and all kinds of craziness. But come July, life will settle down. You'll have a more relaxed schedule in summer. Then you can petition to continue. So Roy or Tommy will talk with you about what that option kind of looks like. It's usually most appropriate in those cases where you have a short-term issue that's going to be resolved by the time the next quarter starts. And then you can petition to continue. Staff members review that petition and determine whether or not there's space available in the class, and whether or not it sounds like you've made a good plan for yourself to be able to succeed your second time around. So petition doesn't guarantee you a spot. It depends on space and class history, plan that you have moving forward, that kind of a thing. But it's definitely an option to be able to retake next term. Treat it like a fresh start. You'll need to redo assignments. You'll need to submit those assignments again, just as if you're doing a leave of absence or a drop class. You'll always start fresh with every quarter for every class that you're taking. Okay, all right, let's highlight your resources one more time as our recap before we go into Q&A. So resources that you have available are your tools, of course. So you've got your external tools of Slack for communication, Zoom for joining group sessions, Gmeet or Slack huddles might be used for one-on-one sessions, and then GitHub for your coding assignments. Internal tools that Code the Dream has made that you'll be using are the CTD Learns app and CTD AirHub for AI review and for those quizzes. So all of those tools are things that you'll want to kind of get familiar with if you aren't already familiar with them to some degree. Find your way around them so that way you're not having to learn a tool on top of learning curriculum, because that's a challenge in and of itself. Okay, for the human resources that you have available, the people resources, we've got our one-on-one mentors we've talked about, that gallery I showed you earlier when we were taking a look at Slack and the umpteen million links you have available in that class information tab. That will get you to the gallery so that way you can schedule one-on-one. You don't have to schedule it specifically with your assigned reviewer or with a group mentor you've attended sessions with. You can schedule it with anybody. And just make them aware if there's any kind of like last minute cancellations that you need to do. Things come up on both sides. So we always ask our mentors, we always ask our students to communicate if there's something that's going to change a prearranged schedule or appointment that you have. For group mentors, all of that information again is in your class information tab of the announcements channel in Slack. The link to join is in there as well too. If there are any sessions that are recorded, the repository link is in there as well. In the event you can't make a group session, you can't make a one-on-one session, at the very least, know that there are likely going to be some recordings periodically that you could reference if need be. All right, continuing on your human resource options are assignment reviewers. In that same link that I shared at the start of the meeting to see if you're with Tommy or you're with Roy, you'll also be able to see who your assigned assignment reviewer is. We should be getting those names in there by next week. And that way you'll be able to know who you can reach out to. When we train up our mentors, we let them know it's a good idea to go ahead and reach out to their students. So you might get a Slack direct message from your reviewer just introducing themselves, so that way you know who they are. But you're also welcome to reach out to them as well too and just be like, hey, I'm excited. I see you're my reviewer. You know, how do you prefer I schedule with you, or when are you usually available, or anything like that. So feel free to have a communication with your reviewer that way if you need or want to. And then of course your cohort leaders, Tommy and Roy, you can always reach out to them if you're trying to work with mentors and schedules aren't working out, or you have questions that go beyond the technical aspect of class, then you can always reach out to them for help. And we've made it through. This has been a lot of information. I hope I didn't bore you all too much. And if you have any questions, now's a great time for us to address them. I see Roy's been doing an excellent job of responding to a lot of them in the chat, but if there's anything that's come to mind you want to ask, now is the time to do it. The more questions you ask, the more answers you get.
Hi, little question.
Yeah.
Will we have recording of this session?
Yes, yeah. So the recording of tonight's session of the orientation, I'll be sharing in your Slack announcements channel tomorrow, along with my slide deck too, if it's easier to kind of just flip through the slides to process the information that way. So both of those things will be available for you tomorrow.
What about Slack link? I was trying to find it.
Yeah, the Slack invitation will be coming out to you via email from Slack tomorrow. As soon as I'm back in the office at 9 a.m., then I'll be getting that sent out to all of our new students. Any returning students, I think I've already got you in your React channels, but if you don't see them, then let me know so I can be sure you're in there. But new students, watch your email for an email from Slack inviting you to the Code the Dream workspace.
One little thing. If you guys want to study together, let's do it. It's I think it's the best way to learn together. Yeah. And one more thing, do we have any deadlines so far to do anything?
The only deadline is March 25th is when you'll start being able to see the lesson content for your work. The non-coding assignment will be due March 31st, and then your coding assignments begin on April 1st, with your week 1 being due April 7th. And all of those things are in your course calendar as well when you log into LearnZap.
All right, great, thanks.
Yeah, absolutely, thanks. I do get excited when I hear you all talking about doing little student groups. I think those are so wonderful. I always get so happy when I hear about students being like, oh yeah, let's get together and study.
So you said the quizzes for the intro course should be available next week.
Yes, March 25th. So let me actually hop back so that way you all get visuals on it again. So for the, hold on, let me jump to here. For March 25th, you'll start being able to see this calendar and access your lessons. So on March 25th, you'll want to go ahead and click on this Learning to Learn link. And that's where you'll have information. All of it's non-technical in nature. It's just kind of introducing you to how we have the class organized. It has information about like how to use reference guides that we have in lessons and things like that. So it's just helpful information there. And then at the bottom, there'll be a link for you to be able to fill out a form where it's like, have you been able to find who your assignment reviewer is? What's their name? Put their name in here. Copy and paste the link to the LearnZap so we know that you know how to get into the LearnZap. So it's all very like non-technical, just making sure you know your way around. And that'll be available beginning March 25th.
All right.
All right, and Erico had a question about the assignment that's due on the 30th. I'm assuming it's that little quiz. Yep. Is that going to be a link on the bottom of this particular page right here?
Correct. Yeah, on the bottom of your Learning to Learn page, you'll do the continue to submission form, and it'll take you directly to the week 0 form. I can actually go ahead and pull up that form as well too. Give me a second, so that way you can kind of get a visual of what that's going to look like. And you just need to pull the link off of here. Give me one moment. There we go. Okay. So that week 0 assignment is this week 0 assignment form that you'll fill out. So you'll select your name, the name of your class. We ask you, what's the link to be able to get to the mentors gallery? What's a link to be able to get to a one-on-one mentors page to schedule with them? What is the, let's see here, class information, what's the link to be able to get to the class information tab? So lots of just like go almost like a treasure hunt, like a digital treasure hunt. Go and find this particular piece of information within your resources and then copy and paste the link to it here. So if you want to think of it in a more fun way, then that's kind of how we intended it to be, is sort of a scavenger hunt or a treasure hunt of the information that you need to know where all of your resources are. Oops, I went back to the whale again. All right. Other questions? These are great. I'm glad that you all are engaging and asking these questions. This is exactly what you should be doing every week. Yes, so AirHub is accessible already. You can use it without being logged in. So you can use that chat feature. You can play around with it and kind of explore it and see what's going on with it. Using it to submit your assignments won't happen until the class has actually begun and you start submitting assignments. And that's when the submitting assignments will redirect you, test your code, give you immediate feedback. And the quizzes, I don't think will be accessible until April, when classes actually kind of started at that point. Other questions? If you're like me, you'll think of questions like 10 minutes after we end the call, and that's okay. You can either make note of them, ask them in mentor sessions, make note of them and reach out to us on Slack and say, hey, I had a question about this. So any of those things.
Little question, if you don't mind. When it's going to be ending? I'm coming.
Yeah, oh, sure. The class ends on June 16th. So all of your classwork and your final projects need to be turned in by June 16th. Yeah, I'll get the link for you, Erico, for the AirHub link in just 1 second. I just wanted to be able to pull up the right spot to be able to give that to you. But we do have a link for it in the Slack announcements channel too, so that way you can easily jump to it from that class information tab as well too. Let me copy and I'll paste it in here and send. There we go. All right. Other questions? We went a little bit over time, but we've also been answering some good questions, so. All right, well, this has been great, everybody. Have a wonderful start to your class. Know that we are around and you can reach out to us if you have any questions or any trouble. And we're excited to have you all here. Have a wonderful React class. Thanks, everyone. Yay, all those reactions. They make me so happy.
Hi, Mary. So I'm so sorry. My the course tab is not working, so I think I have everything in it. Should I get back to your email later, or?
Let me double check one thing, because I'm wondering if I hadn't gotten you all set up. You are able to log into it, right, Eriko? You just aren't seeing it like on the dashboard. Is that correct?
Right, I see dashboard, resource, everything. Okay, but courses, I just see only React logo and same, just like React v4 26.2.
Oh, okay. Does it look like, hold on, let me screen share again really quick and see if this is what it's wound up looking like for you. Back to my Zoom screen share. Is this what you're seeing here? Where it has React 26.2 and it has the React logo?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, so it's just because you won't be able to access the course until March 25th. So once, and like if you go to try and click on the course, it'll be like the course is available. Oh, actually the 23rd. I forgot we had a 2-day buffer. So you might be able to get into it as soon as Monday. But yeah, so you'll see this until the sort of soft start of class, the 25th, and then from there you'll be able to click on it and get into it.
Okay, thank you. And then could you show me how you connect to the Air Hub from that page?
Yeah, so when you go to, let me jump back over to here. When you're on a lesson page, so like let's say we're on lesson 1, and you
Yeah,
go to the very
I don't find the lesson page. Where can I find the lesson
right,
page?
that's one of the things that won't be accessible until the 25th.
I got it. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, I need to come back here 25th and then start on it.
Exactly. Yeah.
I got it. All right.
And then
Thank you
from
so much.
there, yeah, once you can access the lesson page on the 25th, then the buttons won't be grayed out anymore, and you'll be able to continue to the submission form. And that's where it'll take you to that form that I had showed you earlier, where it'll pre-fill your lesson, and then you answer some questions, paste in your link to your work, and go from there.
Okay, that means I won't be able to start any assignments until
the
March
25th. Correct.
Got it.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much for your help.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Any other questions from anyone?
I have a quick question.
Yeah.
Are you guys still based in American Underground downtown?
We are, but actually
Oh,
just
okay.
this week they're moving. So they did a
Oh,
renovation.
really?
Yeah, they renovated the American Tobacco campus building that's just like literally a block southwest, I think, of where we were located. And so we're moving offices right now, but we're still going to be in downtown Durham. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But you guys don't you like what was I getting ready to say? You guys don't like it's kind of a closed off area.
For the most part, we do have monthly co-working days. So we'll send out messages to folks that are local to the Raleigh-Durham area and let you know when those events are happening. So that way, if you wanted to pop your head in, then you can.
Oh, okay, yeah, that'd be dope.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Well, thanks. I'm gonna go ahead and stop recording because I just remembered I still was.